This video will be on how to multiply algebraic fractions. So before we can multiply algebraic fractions, it's a good idea we revise how to just multiply just regular fractions from year 7. So a lot of students, when they see a question like this, they'll say to me, oh, I'm going to multiply those two numbers and I'm going to multiply those two numbers. And the first thing I'll say is, well, it's a lot of work. I don't know in my head what 15 times 36 is, and I also don't know what 27 times 25 is. So we really don't want that to be our first step when we are multiplying fractions. What we do want to look at is whether anything can cancel vertically. That's called reducing a fraction. And also we can also cancel diagonally, and that's because really I could put these two numbers in the numerator together and those two numbers in the numerator, so that would fall in the denominator, so that would create just one big fraction. So there's no real issue with cancelling this way, diagonally and also diagonally. The only way you are not allowed to cancel is horizontally. Okay, do not cancel horizontally. So we can cancel, to recap, we can cancel diagonally and we can also cancel vertically. Okay, so you want to now look and see, are there any numbers that can cancel? Now by cancelling I mean, are there any common factors? Are there any numbers that are common factors to say 15 and 25? I can think of one straight away. So 5 goes into both 15 and 25. 5 will go into 15 3 times and 5 will go into 25 5 times. Notice I didn't scribble the number out. I just put a single line through the number, which means I can still see what was underneath before, just in case you make a mistake. You don't want to scribble all over your work. Now I'm also going to look if anything can cancel now vertically and diagonally. If I keep looking diagonally, I'll see that there's actually a common factor of 27 and also 36. So the biggest number that will go into 27 and 36 is 9. So 9 will go into 36 4 times. And 9 will go into 27 3 times. And then if I look vertically, I can see that there's a common factor. Oops, that's a pencil, not highlighter. If I look vertically, I can see there's a common factor of 3 here and 3. So both of those are divisible by 3. So I can re-cancel. You can also cancel again on top of numbers that have already been reduced. So 3 will go into this 3 once, and 3 will go into this 3 once. So if my cancelling and my single crosses are neat, I can see that the only numbers that I'm left with are a 4 over here and a 5 over here. If I multiply that 4 by, say, that 1, it will remain as 4. And if I multiply this 5 by this 1, it will also remain as it is, as a 5. So what we end up with is 4/5. Okay? So this question becomes 4/5 quite easily because I cancelled instead of multiplying horizontally straight away. So if I look at this next question, it's now algebraic fractions, so we can see that we want to think about cancelling, but this time we might also be cancelling not just numbers, but also pronumerals. So if I look diagonally, I can straight away see that this x will cancel with this x in the denominator. So x can go into itself exactly once, and this x goes into itself exactly once. Sometimes students will cancel out the pronominal and write nothing, but I think it's quite important that you remember that this x is dividing into this x exactly one time. Now, can anything else cancel? Well, if I keep looking diagonally, I can see the 2 and the 4 have a common factor of 2. So 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 4 twice. Now, any other areas I can cancel? So you really have to scan everything and check. So let's have a look what's left. I've got a 3 here, I've got my 2, a Z, a Y, and a 5. And if I look at all those green pieces, I can't actually see any common factors to everything. It's at this point that you can start multiplying. So 3, I should have written that probably a bit bigger so we know it's actually a regular number. 3 multiplied by 2 will give me a 6. The x has been crossed out. I see a z in the numerator, and in the denominator I can see the 5 and I can see the y, but this 2 and this x have been cancelled out. So we've got a 5 and a y. Remember, coefficients come first. That's this number 5 and this number 6. So the answer is 6z on 5y. Let's have a look at 2 more examples. So once again, the first step is to check if anything can cancel. So I'm looking the ways that I'm allowed. So diagonally, can't see any common factors there. And then diagonally the other way, I've got p's and n's. And I can also check vertically. So we'll check this way. Any common factors? Just use your eye to scan over everything. And what it becomes clear is that there actually are no common factors. And there's nothing wrong with having no common factors. It means you just won't cancel. So what I can do, when there's no common factors, we are allowed to multiply horizontally. So 3 times 10 will give me 30. And p squared times p, well, that's a string of 2. And another string added to my string makes it p cubed. On the bottom, I've got a 7 as my coefficient. And n cubed times n squared, well, that becomes a string of 5. And if nothing can cancel like we saw before, that is the end of your question. Last example, same method as before. If you're feeling confident, write it down, try and do it before me, pause the video, and then unpause to check whether we get the same answer as each other. So if I look diagonally, I can see something. I can see a couple of things that will cancel. So in the 12 and the 9, there's a highest common factor of 3. So 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 12 not 5 times, 4 times. Let me say that again. 3 goes into 12 4 times. And then if I look here at the x terms, let me just highlight what I've got. I've got an x to the 5 and an x cubed. So I can cancel the smaller amount. If I remove all of those, notice that I'm drawing my pen right through the squared and the x, the whole thing's gone. Then I'll have to remove 2 from the power. So that instead of having a string of 5 x's, x times x times x times x times x, I'm removing 2, leaving me with only 3. I do not cross out the x because I still have x cubed. All right, anything else can cancel. Let's do a quick little check. I've got a 2, I've got 3, I've got 13, I've got 4, and I've got x cubed now. Can't cancel the 4 and the 2 because they are both horizontal. They're on the same, they're in the numerator. Cannot cancel horizontally, only vertically and diagonally. So if I multiply what I have, I've got 4 times 2 will give me an 8 in the numerator. And I also have this x cubed. Can't forget what I've got, so that's why we cross it out really clearly. And then I have a 13 times 3. Well, 13 3s are 39. And I crossed out the x squared. I also crossed out the 9. So it must just be a 39, sorry. It must just be a 39 in the denominator. And so that is the end of that question.